and I'm like, okay, well, I need to get my life figured out. That doesn't mean future, like in terms of family or anything. I'm just meaning like I just need to.
Girlfriend, and then
No,
like
no,
marriage, and then
no.
like kids. Imagine if we were like had our own show or something, or like our own podcast, or made videos about it or stuff. So we were always like in the imagine phase.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the BTR podcast. And today we have a special podcast episode for you guys. We won't be talking sports for once. It's just, one of those slow sports periods where like we're at 100 subs. We haven't really explained who we are properly.
Bro, we're famous, yo. We're 100 subs. Let's go.
But yeah, no, but we might as well explain ourselves a little bit. We haven't really got to that point yet. Yeah, so this is like our intro video for you guys to get to know us and why we started this essentially.
Yeah, it's because we started during playoff time, right? So like, it was pretty heated then. So obviously, when we started dropping our first videos, we're like, okay, sports. And then today, we're not talking about sports. So I feel very uncomfortable. So, but we're still dropping sports content. Don't worry about that. Off-season time, it's slow, but we still have some stuff planned for you guys. So hit the subscribe button for all that. This is just to share our story and then share about who we are and like why we started and everything like that.
We will be sprinkling this from time to time. It doesn't have to like Jovan said, sports should still remain Mondays and Thursdays. Make sure you guys check out our podcast episodes. But from time to time, we'll be dropping stuff like this. I'll give you guys a sneak peek. The next time we do a non-sports pod, we will be bringing a guest on. So just keep an eye on that. That's just our way to saying thank you for supporting us for this first 2 months. Man, we're 2 months in. Yeah. So let's get started. So let's get to the intro. 2 months in, man.
Yeah.
Mother's Day was when we officially uploaded our first video, which was that 30-second trailer video that took us 2 hours?
2 hours
to
because
film.
Oh my god.
Which was supposed to be the plan. I thought we were going to do this video for that, but we changed it last second
because it was like playoff times. It was funny because like our cousin was over, right? He's like, "Yo, you guys just record. We'll play some Mario Kart after, right?"
Yeah.
Took us like 3 hours to record. Exactly. This guy just left, and then I'm like, "Bro, it's our first time on camera. We just kept on. We were just
because that was a little bit more scripted as well. Yeah. Like whereas our podcast episodes, stuff like this, even our tier list videos, those are like natural, instant reactions. We're not really cutting anything off.
Yeah, it's like winging it, right?
Yeah.
So like
that one was like, okay, we got to explain ourselves. Let's be a little bit more presentable. But 2 months in, we're at 117 subs as of this recording. We don't know when this is gonna come up. Maybe a week. No, well, you guys wouldn't really know when the week is, but like but 117 subs at this moment. 96 videos is on the channel right now. Yeah. Obviously, by the time this comes out, it will be more than 100. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I was also including shorts videos.
Yeah, obviously. But let's just get started. Why did we decide to start a podcast? Two dumbass brothers. Usually, sometimes brothers don't get along all the time, or they're not as close as we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Why did we start this podcast?
I mean, we've been like talking about it for like. Or like not talking about like joking around about it for like
2 years now, I think.
Or yeah, we're like because we always have these like debates and stuff where we're like going at each other. Even we go at each other again around our cousins as well too, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, remember like, imagine if we were like had our own show or something or like our own podcast or made videos about it or stuff. So we were always like in the imagine phase.
Yeah.
Until for like a year and a half, I would say.
Yeah, you were actually more down than I was.
Yeah,
right? You were like, down, what? You obviously the joking turned into something serious, but the serious was like on your side more so than I was, right? I was stubborn. I'm like, for me, it was like, why I didn't want to get started was essentially my age. Now, I'm not saying I'm old, so those people, all our relatives that are watching this that are older than me, 26 is not old in life, but I feel like in the content creation space, a lot of these guys and girls that start, they're usually your age. At the max.
They're even younger.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At the max, they're your age, right? And we'll get into like the inspirations of what ended up getting us going. But, going back to it, we're like, yeah, we just talk sports. Why not eventually put this out? We listen to a lot of radio shows. We listen to a lot of other podcasts on YouTube or just TV sports shows, debate shows like First Take and all that, right? And yeah, it was funny because the original plan was to start after the NBA Finals, and then everything progressed so quickly. This was back in March 2023, so literally this year of March. that we're like, you know what, fuck it, let's just put it out there, right? We might get views, we might get our own thing, but ultimately, why not pick a sport? Why, you know how Through the Wire, for example,
Yeah,
they
like
have basketball.
basketball, right?
Why do we want to go variety, in your opinion? Like, why did
In
you
my
feel
opinion,
like it?
because like I just like watching everything. That's
Exactly,
why,
yeah.
right? Like I'm not stuck to one sport. Like as much as I want to watch NBA, that's how much I want to watch NFL. That's how much I want to watch uh
NHL,
NHL,
soccer,
EPL,
yeah,
or any like other
yeah.
soccer games.
I just didn't want to bore myself into one thing, right? Like
Yeah.
the reason why Halford and Bruff, one of our inspirations, which we'll get into slowly, but we'll bring random sports shows names up here. Halford and Bruff, they're a local radio station, Sportsnet 650, and they're in the morning. So usually it's on my commute to work. I listen to it at work, especially because they have that variety. Yes, it's still heavily Canucks based because it is Vancouver, right? Those of you who don't know, we're based out of Surrey, BC. Um, so Vancouver is the biggest topic here, right? Especially with hockey. So, but what they do well is they sprinkle in the NFL, the NHL in general, the occasional MLB in the summer because that's when sports die down, obviously. Even like soccer, they bring in CFL. They'll bring in golf stuff. Sports sometimes we don't care about, but they sprinkle it well and they're entertaining, which we're gonna obviously try to work our way to.
Which we suck at.
But
We're
no,
terrible
but
at that. Right?
for me, it's like when I hear them talk Canucks, like say 2-3 days straight, or hockey in general 2 days straight, it kind of like bores me out because I like the variety, like you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Through the Wire, I love listening to them, but they're not an everyday podcast or everyday show. But that's where I love listening to basketball. For me, it's like I don't want, and for them, they're basketball, but they're huge baseball fans too, right?
Yeah.
Like two of them especially.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're usually tuned out of it. They watch it as a hobby now. Like obviously, we still watch sports as a hobby. This is not meant to be like we're forcing ourselves into watching sports for the variety.
We were
We
watching it.
genuinely enjoy watching.
Like we were watching.
Like I'm wearing a Blue
everything.
Jays jersey, for example. Like
I
you
mean,
see
that
the
doesn't
pennant
matter.
here.
Everyone could wear blue jerseys.
No, I
But-
mean, well,
yeah, but my
our
point-
cousins like
yeah.
baseball is not a sport that many people watch other than me and you.
Yeah, but my point is that like before this even started, like we were watching it.
Yeah.
Like, generally, like a lot.
Yeah, like we didn't want to like bog down to one sport and then all of a sudden miss out on what's happening with the Blue Jays, the Colts,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, Manchester United. We have a scarf up there. Like we just don't want to put ourselves burn out on one sport, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's why we're still we could burn ourselves out by following everything, but I feel like the variety was the best way to go because we genuinely have opinions on every sport. Not even just these team sports, UFC and boxing, which we slowly got into, right?
Yeah,
So
those are like what we got into later.
yeah,
And then yeah, it's like slowly like when we were growing up, it got more and more. For me, it was Canucks, right? Then it turned into like Raptors and NBA. Obviously with Kobe, I was watching Lakers as well. And then
the Colts.
it's slowly, yeah, I started going to NFL a little bit more the last like 4 years.
Yeah.
And I would probably say NFL like is the one I watched the most when it's on. And then soccer was just always there because that's what I grew up playing. So
Yeah.
soccer's always been there.
So
like,
yeah,
at the top.
The variety was just like we didn't want to bog ourselves down to one sport because we genuinely enjoy all sports. But we'll probably do a special episode of how we actually got into each sport, which is if you guys want to watch, like it, comment down below. We'll probably bring that to you sometime in the future. But let's go back to something we mentioned that I was against it more so than you were. Like you genuinely like, yo, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
So I guess you want to know why. People probably want to know why I was against it, and I mentioned the age factor, and that was a deal for me because I'm a CPA or was kind of a CPA student. I graduated already.
You were.
I was.
You were.
I graduated obviously university later than what normal people would, but and BB in accounting. Obviously, then being Punjabi, take it to the next level, which is CPA, and obviously I'm like, okay, at this point I'm in too deep. There's no time for me to do this. But I kept on saying if an opportunity comes, and I'll get to that in a second. And so that was one reason why I was against it. Number two, I was like, so related to that, the age. I'm 26, 27 by the end of this year. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to get my life figured out. That doesn't mean future, like in terms of family or anything. I'm just meaning like I just need to.
Girlfriend.
No,
and then, like,
no.
marriage and then
No.
like kids. Right?
No, not that. But
Bro,
like
like the
figure
way,
out my financial situation,
yeah,
just
yeah.
get my shit figured out. Yeah, if a wife happens to be coming down the line, sure. But that's not my priority right now.
Well, you're never making me a cha-cha, right?
Shut the fuck up, man. But
I
okay. But no, so I'm like, okay, I need to figure my shit out. I'm already in too deep. This, it's a slow process. You might get lucky from the beginning.
yeah.
And that was reason number 2. Reason number 3 was like you had the same thing, a little camera shy, plus what are people gonna say? The classic thing in Punjabi community. You hear it other podcasts, other Punjabi creators say, "Loki ki kahange" type of shit,
Yeah,
right?
right. That's like for a lot.
And that was why I was kind of against it. You were like more so, you were just fixated on like, I don't know if I'm gonna be comfortable in front of a camera, but you like, okay, I'll figure that out eventually.
Yeah, the only for me it was just like figuring out this. Like I still feel a little bit tight. I don't feel like loose as I am because like when I'm
You're doing better though, for sure.
yeah, like but when I'm talking around with you or about like sports and stuff, like it's just like
The camera's not there anymore.
camera's not there, so I could
Yeah.
just like I don't have to worry about what I'm saying. But obviously, there's a slight way to worry about what you're saying. You don't want to get canceled, right?
Yeah.
But there's also a thing where like you don't want to hold yourself back,
Exactly.
right? And I feel like just because of that shyness, right, in front of the camera, I felt like I've been holding myself back. And yeah, I do believe I'm slowly getting better.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's way more improvement need to be made.
Yeah. So obviously,
Yeah, that was it. That was my biggest.
that was
worry.
your biggest reason.
Yeah.
And what you were probably like, yeah, I know I have to fear it. I have to get over that fear.
I mean, the only way was doing it.
Doing it. And you were down. Like you were probably ready to go a year ago if you were wanted to, right? Like you're still a student, right? You're an SFU student. You got classes you're still taking, but we'll get into that in a second. So back to why I was against it. Eventually, March 2023 comes, right? End of February, March comes. We're home alone. Mom guys are going to India, and I'm still doing CPA at this point. I started it back in, I think, the fall, right, September
Yeah,
area.
the semester before.
And I failed the first course, right? It was core 1, and I'm like, okay, well, I gotta do it again, right? At that point, it still didn't click in my mind that you should be doing this. And core second time, I'm trying to study for this. You saw me miserable around the house. I was miserable, right? Like, I failed core 1. I genuinely actually tried on it. It's not like I didn't. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's try this again. And the more I was doing it, mom guys left for India, and you saw me going around the house. I'm literally yelling at myself. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. And you're like, are you fucking stupid? You're taking one of the hardest courses in the world. Mom's obviously yelling at me on the side, and I'm like, bro, this shit, I can't do it, right? And it is not because I don't have my mind into it. I genuinely was like, in my mind, I was like, do I really want to do this?
Like
it's for a future career.
You never just felt it, right? Like you never had that feeling like, oh, this is what I want to do, right?
Yeah. Like at first, sure. Like every Punjabi family out there that's watching this, whether it be our family, whether it be any random Punjabi person watching this, they're obviously, you have like, the plan is most of the time your parents are immigrants. Most of you guys, like, you guys are first generation Canadian a lot of the time. And it's like, and don't get me wrong, our mom and dad sacrificed a lot for us. And in their mind, what they visioned in India was the success in Canada was you're a doctor, lawyer, engineer, accountant, whatever, teacher, so on and so forth.
It's like a stable job, right?
It's a stable job for them. That's what it was, right?
Yeah, because that's what like
That's what they were taught.
Yeah, no, but that's what they were also hoping for too.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Like
So
that's what they were working towards.
and then the more I was doing, February was rolling by, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing, right? And I still, at this point, I haven't like come up to you and said, let's do this. March comes, and there was this tragedy that happened in our family friend, essentially. One of the family friends we have, their fulford passed away, and we obviously, that was a dampening, saddening moment for sure. And I'm not saying that was like, oh, that opened my eyes or anything, but because we knew him as this one healthy dude, and what the hell, this came out of nowhere type of thing, right? And I remember that week after the funeral, it's in my head. I'm like, this dude passed out of nowhere in our eyes, right? Lovable dude, respectable dude, and everything. Nothing bad to say about him at all, and his family.
And he's healthy.
And he was the healthiest
Really
guy,
healthy.
marathon runner and everything, right? We're not gonna get too much into that personal life thing, and I'm like, wow, okay, so me, on the other hand, I'm the opposite. Like, obviously, I'm trying to get back into that shape of health and like bettering myself, and I'm like, okay, that's etched in my head. And then at work, we're at work, still work. One of the managers was let go. At least we think it's let go, but you could judge by emails and stuff. They were let go. And I'm like, okay, well, I could be next here too, in general, right? I'm not saying that I am, but I'm just saying in general. And then I'm like, it started clicking. And eventually, before even this happened, hours before midnight, the ultimate inspiration for me. Those kids, those two guys, they're a year older than you, so they're actually younger than me.
Yeah.
Um, I saw their clips on Instagram. I don't know how much you saw their clips on
I
Instagram.
mean, yeah, I wouldn't watch like I skimmed through the podcast, but like I obviously the most of them. It's like a lot of like
Yeah,
content, right? You go through the shorts and
exactly.
like Instagram reels and
So,
stuff.
so the Instagram, the clip I saw was of they had this girl named Brar, I believe her name was. They brought her on, and there were clips of like her story, which I'm not gonna get into, but you guys could check it out on their YouTube channel or their Instagram on Hours Before Midnight. And it was a different story. It wasn't even regarding this that like opened my eyes. I'm like, oh, this is a unique story. I've never heard of it. So obviously, that's how you click into the YouTube video and I listen to that pod at work, or I listen to it at home a little bit and at work, and I'm like, this is where Ekdeep, the guy from Hours Before Midnight, was like shared a story about his grandpa telling him before his grandpa passed away, do what you makes you happy, fuck what everybody else has to say, right? And that's an older person. Like we're taught by like make your parents happy. That's his grandpa telling him that. And same thing with Rob. She was sharing a story about Loki Gigani because she's a TikTok star, right? She's done some music videos. Same thing with her. Like, what are people gonna say in the Punjabi community? Because let's face it, Punjabi community, we also put hate on our own community for no reason half the time with gossip or whatever, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of like
And that's what officially opened my eyes, officially. And I'm like mixed in with the tragedy and what happened at work. I'm like, fuck it. I'm sitting at work. You know how that moment you're just I don't know if you ever had this moment, and I've heard people have this moment. I felt it. It was like you're sitting at the spot, and all of a sudden, like, let's pretend we're just sitting in your head. Are like, you know what? Let's fucking do it. That's essentially what happened to me at work. I'm like, that Friday. I think it's a Friday morning, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let's do this pod. I'm like, you're down. Obviously, I have to confirm with you after, and I'm like, yeah, we're doing this. All right. I come home that day. You're about to leave for your soccer game.
yeah. I
And
was
you're
gonna leave
like,
my
okay, what the
soccer
hell's
game.
wrong with you? I was talking some stuff, but you were like, okay, what the hell's wrong with you? I'm not leaving until you tell me, right?
Yeah.
Keep in mind, me and you, we talk now, we open up a little bit now, but you're 6 years younger, 5.5 years younger than me, essentially. So
Yeah.
back then, when shit was happening with me, I usually keep it in, bottled up, right? I still don't know what the hell's happening in your personal life. I know you slowly kind of open up to certain things, but now that you're older, I'm like, okay, I could share stuff with you a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? Are you still down? And you're like, for what, right? And I'm like, are you down? And you could just tell when I said
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
you're like, you knew instantly what I was talking about. And you're like, yeah, right? Like at that time, I don't know what your mind was going through.
I was just like, then for me, my reaction was like, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
I've been saying it all this time. Then I'm like, we're actually gonna do this.
Okay, so
And then I was just like in that moment, and I'm like, all right, let me just, because I think it was like near the end of school semester. I was like,
yeah,
let me
this was
just-
like literally 2 weeks
Yeah.
before my CPA core one
yeah.
retake
Then like
exam.
my finals are coming up too, and I was like,
Yeah.
all right, let me just focus on this first, and then
Yeah. So
we'll
before you
start
went,
figuring it out.
we're jumping a little bit here, but like I'm like, yeah, I'm down. We started sharing ideas instantly. Obviously, I started to annoy you now. At that point, I'm like, I'm into it. I'm like, I'm annoying you. This is where like I wanted to do it more than you at this point.
Yeah,
it was like
because-
flipped because like when I get excited, this is where I have tendencies of mom. It's like let's get rolling, right? Like let's plan this out right away. And obviously, I know you had exams, and I would still go to your room. I'm like, we need to do this. We need to do this. But this was like a week out before my exam. Obviously, failed that exam again. But yeah, so I guess you answered a little bit. What was your ultimate reaction though? Like I was stubborn. I'm like for a year and a half. I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing this.
Okay, I'll be
Were
honest.
you like finally? Like what the
Yeah,
hell?
I'll be honest with you. Like in those like prior months, like in the February and January when the new year hit, basically, I was just thinking about it a lot more. Like it was just ingrained in my
Yeah, share
brain.
your story at this time.
Yeah,
too.
it was
What
just
were you
ingrained
going
in my brain, right? For me personally, I was just like, yo, I'm in school, right? I I ain't doing like I wasn't doing great, right, in school. Like I'm not like up there, and I wasn't getting like the best grades. And obviously, me figuring in my situation was like I got in for one thing compared to my other thing, right?
through? Yeah.
So then I was just like, all right, I'm gonna try to switch over to a different program, right? And then I'm like worried about all that, and I'm just feeling stuck because
You're like, you don't even know if you want to do that.
like I don't know if I want to do that. I don't even know if I want to do what I'm already in. So then I'm just like taking classes just randomly, left, right, and center. Like I'm taking random one, like legit. My one semester was like a business course, a kinesiology course, and like some other random course. Like just three completely things that have no correlation with each
Just
other.
trying to figure out what you want to
Yeah,
do.
just trying to figure out what I want to do, and like nothing was really clicking, right? So then that's where I found out. I was like, bro, all right, the only thing that works for me, the only thing I enjoy in life, because every time I do like writing papers and like stuff like that, it's always about sports,
Yeah.
right? And this is like where I just felt like my first regret of like, oh, I should have taken my soccer a little bit more seriously. I should have like, started working out a little bit earlier.
Especially the shape you're in now.
Yeah.
You were a good soccer player back then, but you weren't in that the necessary body type shape.
Like I was
Now mix in your skills then, because you were a good player. And if we ever bring a soccer guest on that personally knows you, we'll ask him or her. But yeah, like you were definitely had the capabilities. It's just like we didn't have the knowledge at that time either.
Yeah,
to
I
be
know.
Fair,
Yeah, to be fair, but like there were people telling me to, all right, if you want to take this serious, you gotta eat better, you gotta get better. Because I was a small guy, I was like a stick.
Yeah.
I was built like a stick, so I was easily like, bullied off the ball.
Yeah.
So then, for me saying that, like when I was at that fitness level or that size, and I was playing gold, I was like, it's not bad,
Capabilities
right?
of Metro.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So then, if I had like maybe worked on my fitness a little bit, started eating better, I could have maybe been Metro or HPL. Then I'm like, okay, that's my first regret. But then I'm like, bro, I'm still watching this,
Yeah.
right? There's something I could do that's related to sports, right? And I'm not saying like I'm throwing school away. I'm still doing school.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure that stuff out.
Which we'll get into when we
Right.
get to the parent talk. But
Yeah. But so then as I'm going on, I'm like, okay, this thing is coming ingrained to my head that like this is our best option. Well, this is my best option because I ain't becoming no athlete.
Yeah.
I ain't becoming no coach. I ain't becoming no referee or something, right? So then I'm like, yo, this is probably your best option. And just know
And this is more fun too. Like
yeah, it's more
you're
fun,
out
right? It's
there
enjoyable
talking,
a little bit, right? Because I'm enjoying it now. This is the first time where I'm feeling like, all right, yes, I'm a little bit nervous when we're recording, don't get me wrong. But I'm like, every time after recording, I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. So okay, let's get back into it. When I said let's do it, were you like, finally this fucker finally said let's do it?
Yeah, I was like mixed reactions because I was like, all right, let's go. But then I'm like, all right, I've been talking it up the whole time. Then I'm like, then I started thinking about it a little bit. Then I'm like, all right, no, you gotta do this, right? Stop, don't be a pussy, right?
Yeah.
Don't back out now, right? There's a chance that this is finally gonna happen.
Yeah.
So you can't back out now, all right? Otherwise, you don't know what the hell's gonna happen.
So I have a question for you. When I was denying it, doing it that time, were you thinking of people that you wanted to start with at the time, or you're like, no,
Not
if I'm
really.
gonna do it with, is you, and that's it.
Not really. If I was, I would have done it.
Unless you had someone come up to you, maybe.
Not really. Because if I ever thought about that, I probably would have done it.
Okay, so like you're saying, okay, you know what? If he's saying no, I'll give him one last chance. Otherwise, I'm gonna find maybe a relative or a friend or whatever you would have.
Yeah, maybe but like at the time where you're denying it,
Yeah,
right? I never thought about it, right? The thing
because
is,
you're like, okay, well, this guy's not doing it well. I'm screwed either way. So,
yeah, I was like, I'm stuck. And also like, it's not like I had any we had any knowledge about this stuff. And
exactly. So, yeah, no, for me, it was like when I finally brought it up, I'm like, okay, if he says no, what do I do now? Right? Thankfully, you didn't, obviously. But yeah, so that's ultimately how we decided. Well, we'll get to the name part in a second, but how we're like, you know what? Let's do it. Two idiots, keep in mind, that have no experience in any media, technology, editing, other than like the one little bit you did for
Bro,
school.
it was so bad that we had to YouTube how to record a video.
Exactly.
Like,
We'll get to the challenges in a second,
Right.
but essentially we're like, okay, we have no idea what we're doing. We have no connections in terms of creative space. Like we might have connections that are
Yeah.
we could bring like people we might bring on guests. Yes, we have some connections that are local athletes and coaches.
and ultimately, like this decision came down to, in what my opinion is like the most difficult decision you can make in life.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you're put in that position where like you're always feeling down, you're always feeling sad, you always feel like you're like failing, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not
That
getting
was
anywhere.
me. That was literally me during CPA.
Yeah. But then there's also this decision where like, am I being tested to like, keep on going?
Yeah.
Like, is this my test where like I need to push through and keep going?
Or is
or is this a sign that like, all right, you need to stop and move on to something else?
But obviously you don't want to be that I need to like we're fully tied into this for sure. But we also can't be like, oh yeah, fuck this, let's go back. We can't obviously flip
Yeah,
flop
no,
either.
but I'm just saying, like, in general, like, these are like that for me personally. When I'm thinking about it, like, that's the most difficult decision,
Yeah.
right? Like, if say there's a scenario where like I was playing soccer, right, and I just kept on getting injured, or like, or my performances were good but they weren't good enough, or like I just keep on failing. So I'm like, then when I think about it, I was like, is this a test for me to like push through?
Yeah.
Is this God telling me to like, all right, if you could push through this, better things will come? Or is this God telling me that this is a sign that you need to stop, right? This ain't gonna work out for you, and move on and find something else.
You truly want to, yeah. So let's move on. Being Punjabi, no matter how old you are, you need to talk to your parents. So
Yeah,
for like what? So they came back from India
like
a week after we decided to do this, I believe.
yeah, I think it's been like a week
Or
almost.
maybe I think it was a day. I think it was the day before. I think I'm not sure. It was like roughly around that time when we officially decided to do it at the end
No,
of
I
March.
think it was a week.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was
okay.
a week.
And then we're like, okay, I'm in my head rehearsing what the hell do I want to say, from scenario easy, which they agree immediately, to scenario where I might have to argue with them, fight with them to get my way. In this case, right? We talked to maybe a couple of people before. Our first shout out to our front neighbor. We talked to him before we talked to our parents just to see. He's like, and he was fully on down, right? We talked to a couple of relatives, I would say, and right before we told mom and dad, and they're were like, do it, right?
Like, do what makes you happy.
Yeah. So that the day comes to talking to mom and dad, and to our surprise, it was the easy option. Where we're like, you know what? Let's sit down. Obviously, I took over that conversation, but I'm like, hey, listen.
All right. The thing is, a part of it was like they didn't know what a podcast was.
Exactly.
So
They
that
just knew
kinda-
YouTube, but not
Yeah.
like what it was. But so we sat them down, and obviously, now dad came back from work and with his health situation as a little bit. It was like, okay, was he really paying attention or was he just tired, right? Which is normal. Every dad, I think, is like that. Mom was like this, like, and if those of
Like
you that
she
are
was-
watching on YouTube or not watching it on YouTube or listening on Spotify, which will be coming out on there as well, by the way. I'm just putting my hand on my chin, but like, okay, yes,
Like the body language. She was
she was
into it.
intrigued. Like
Yeah.
she was interested, and I'm like, listen, obviously I failed CPA. At that point, I didn't know if I failed or not. I believe, but I'm just like, okay, I don't think I and wait. I'll get back to that in a second. I know what you're gonna say, but I'm like, listen, I don't like what I'm doing. I genuinely hate this. I still have, and then we told her like, listen, we want to try this out. At least we want to try to fail in something we want to do. And even though we're struggling, we love the struggle, right? Which we are.
We
love
are
the struggle.
struggling and we like it. We're enjoying
Yeah.
it. I mean, if
compared
we
to
did-
that struggle, is like I hated it, the CPA side of things, or you hate the school side of things, which you're still obviously doing. But so we told her, I'm like, hey, listen, or dumb. I'm already graduated with a BBA. I have a job. I have a stable job. Obviously, yes. Can I look for a better paying job? Sure. But I have a degree and have the experience, so I'm fine in that sense. I'm willing to do this. For me, it was like, okay, the risk was, can you get this sort of figured out? For you, it's more stress because you still promised to finish school, which I do kind of agree with, right? Because at least you'll finish something up. And to our surprise, they're like, yeah, we're on board. And I'm like, that was easy.
yeah, we're like, what the hell?
Because like being Punjabi traditional parents, we're just like, we're ready to argue a little bit. And obviously now I don't know how much research they did on their own time by asking other people, but then after that, we told some relatives and they're like, yep, good job. But yeah, and they were down, and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, if we were just like overthinking so much. We're like, do you realize what we asked you?
It's like when it's like when you get in trouble in school, or you go meet the principal, or you go talk to your mom after, or your dad after, and you're like rehearsing in your head a story. That's what I was doing, literally.
Yeah. So then I was just like thinking, we were just thinking about it, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're on board. And I'm like, do you know what we just asked you?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what we're gonna do or something?
Yeah.
Type of thing. That's what my reaction was.
And yeah, we love our parents. They gave us this opportunity as well because we wanted to do this not behind their back at the end of the day.
Yeah, right.
We don't like the message we're sending to those guys that want to watch and eventually do what we're doing or anything in life.
Anything in life, yeah.
Don't do stuff behind your parents' back. Get their approval. If they can't get your approval, then maybe get a relative that's close with your parents, and then talk to them and figure it out.
And it's not even that. Like, I'm not saying, like, for me, if they say no, you could still maybe do it. Yes, it'll be a little bit harder, but I'm just saying, at least let them know,
Yeah.
right?
Like, listen, hey,
if
we're
this-
still doing this no matter what.
Yeah, like we're like, because
That's what
that's what we were going into. We're like,
Yeah.
we're not Like if it comes to a point where they're about to disagree us, we're like, bro, we're not asking you. We're telling you that we're gonna do this because we respect you.
Yeah.
That like, you know, you're a kid. I mean, you're our kids. We're your kids.
Yeah.
And then the fact we're your kids and we know how much you guys done for us.
Exactly.
That like we respect you enough that we're gonna tell you what we're gonna do. But like,
And
no
if
matter
it hits,
no matter what happens, we're gonna do it.
essentially what it comes down to is we're finally taking our first big risk, and if it hits, it will hit. I believe.
Yeah.
Right. If it misses, then we still do it. It might take longer.
I mean, if it misses, we're still in the same
yeah,
situation. If it misses, we'll be in this situation, like how
Exactly.
we are in right now.
So let's move on. The challenges after the, like, obviously number one challenge is talking to our parents. Number two challenge, the name. How did Beyond the Radar come to be? And to be honest with you guys, we're just like, fuck, let's just pick a name.
At this point, right? Yeah, we're like
The name we loved the most was,
the Benchwarmers.
yeah,
Was it that one?
yeah. I think that was the
Yeah.
name we loved the most.
Yeah.
And the
but-
problem is it's a movie. Like
Yeah,
David
the
Spade's
thing-
popular movie.
Yeah, the thing is, we were trying to look for something like unique, not taken,
Yeah, like
right?
we didn't want to. We wanted something unique. We wanted something that didn't say podcast. And we'll get to the when we talk about our channel in general. We'll get to the reason why we named it Beyond the Radar, and it's just because we were thinking of names. Like at first we thought A&J Bros. That sounded like two Punjabi brothers starting a plumbing company or something.
like a roofing company.
Like a
right?
roofing, like a trades company, right? We're like, no, that doesn't work. We need something more unique. And we tried Stop Playing, bro, playing on words. Like we're brothers, stop playing. You know, we weren't too with it. And then we started playing on Googling stuff, and then Radar popped up. And I'm like, Under the Radar, obviously taken. Below the Radar, taken. And then I'm like, okay, Through the Radar. I'm like, I like that one. And then shout out to a friend, suggested Beyond the Radar, which we thought as well. We're like, it doesn't sound crazy, but we're like, and it was not taken, like context wise. And we're like, because there's one music thing, but they have PH at the
But
end.
it's not fully taken.
Yeah,
right?
so we're like, yeah, Beyond the Radar sounds good. The goal with the radar was there's a radar, literally when you see our logo right here, and on the YouTube thing you'll see the logo. In general is,
and then when you're on YouTube, subscribe.
but if you're a radar is like you want to go above and beyond, right?
Yeah, like we were trying to think of like something generic that like also sounded inspiring. Yeah, maybe cliche, but we're like whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like something you want to surpass, or like something that give us like a underdog mentality type thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Like that's why Below the Radar was perfect. Like we're striving to go beyond the radar, but we're below it. But we're always gonna feel like we're below the radar. Taken. SFU. Your school took that.
Yeah, I never heard of that before.
I think it's Dom who took that one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Beyond the Radar. Like, let's go above and beyond. The logo kind of simplifies that. When you look at the top of the logo, the white part, that's like you're trying to go beyond it. And we're always gonna try to go above and beyond. That's why we named it Beyond the Radar. BTR also sounds cool when we say in our intros, right? So that's how Beyond the Radar came to be. Was definitely the toughest part of this journey, I think. Figuring out a name. All right. So that's how Beyond the Radar came to be. Let's move on to challenge number 2, what you alluded to earlier. 2 idiots that were never in this, that were Googling how to record a video. Literally how to record audio podcast, video podcast.
Yeah, legit.
So figuring out the equipment.
So legit, I was like, once like exams finished, you were doing a little bit before. I started going on like, all right, YouTube, how to record a video. YouTube, how to record audio.
I'm like noting down the equipment we need. We had a Google Doc made for that.
Yeah. YouTube, how to use a
Editor.
audio interface.
How to
YouTube, how to edit clips together.
Yeah.
YouTube, how to know if your mics are working or something.
Exactly.
Like
so
everything like that.
our first thing was figure out what equipment we need, and Googled it: camera, mic, audio interface, lighting, right?
Bro, I didn't even know what that interface was before.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't think I still know what it is now, but I know we needed it.
Yeah, I mean, you
It
kind of
helps us record audio. That's
exactly.
It, but,
So
like, yeah.
that was audio issue number 1. And you know what? We tried to find stuff on Amazon or whatever websites to see anything cheap, and we got lucky with these mics. Honestly,
These mics.
These mics are like. Well, we're not here to promote them because we're not sponsored, but these mics were cheap for us to buy
Compared to that.
for our budget.
Yeah.
We thought we were gonna spend more money on the mic because we want the quality of the mic to be good and find a better camera, maybe not so great camera. The challenge came for the camera.
Yeah.
And here's the challenge. Number 1, we didn't know. I thought we just needed to get a camera. It's simple. It'll work no matter what. and we're like, obviously people say you could record on iPhones. We have Androids. I have a Samsung.
I have an
you
old
have LG.
phone.
Yeah, your phone's old anyways. So I'm like, not greatest thing to use, and I'm like, okay, let's Google. And you were on that mission. You were the camera guy out of the both of us because you had the time to look through each.
Yeah.
We finally found a camera, and we ordered a cheap camera first, some random
Yeah.
ghost hunting camera.
I was against that one.
But then I'm like, okay, let's just see.
Yeah, because
right?
it was like cheap, right?
It was cheap. We needed to go cheap, and
We get
it
it.
was not good.
We get it. We're like, what the hell is this shit?
And then we went, okay, you know what? Let's go. We got to go expensive with the camera. Let's just go budget.
Yeah.
That's where most of our budget went, right? Like, lighting was cheap. You know, this is the stuff, the decorations we already have at home.
already had at
We
home.
only ordered like the scarf and the two pennants, which
Then
were also cheap.
We took over the living room.
You know, we stole our cousin's whiteboard, which I'm looking at straight right now.
Well, I stole that for like a while ago.
Well, I know, but we had it.
Yeah.
But so we're like, okay, we found a camera. It was a Canon, and my dumb ass thought, okay, well, we had to look at recording limits, HD quality, you know, recording. Those are the two big ones.
Basically, I was thinking, like, yo, just record, and then
That's it.
look similar to
Yeah.
like on video, like how we are right now.
Exactly. And
And
so we
done.
we found a camera. You found some, and they were expensive. And then I started looking into the recording limits that were 29 minutes. I'm like, why the hell is this 29 minutes, right? And I looked at it, and I'm like, and I read it wrong. It was about the camera space. Essentially, what it was, those of you guys who are trying to go into this now, is no, the camera space is just talking about. I thought HD. 4K is 29 minutes. HD, you could go like 13 hours or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
Turns out it was just for the space. So this is where now we're gonna get to challenges after. Now, that first day we did our intro video, it worked because we didn't need to record long, right?
Yeah, that was like
a 30,
30
40 second
seconds.
clip,
Yeah.
right? Minute max. And or like, okay, we're good. So challenge number 1 was figuring out the audio at that point. I'll stick with the camera actually. So we start the first episode of the pod.
Audio was pretty smooth.
No, but there was one
yeah.
challenge for that. But we're like, okay, now the next day we're like, okay, let's record podcast number 1, episode 1. And 30 minutes in, lo and behold, the camera shuts down.
And we're like,
first episode that was like an hour 40 because we knew it was gonna be a long one because we're recapping everything.
yeah.
We're like, okay, what the hell? And at that point, we're like, okay, well, you have more editing to do. Let's do 30-minute clips or whatever topic clips. And just edit it. And we did that for about a month until we finally found the Sony we're using that it gives us like
13 hours.
13 hours, which is more than enough.
And then
right?
also saves much more editing time for me.
Exactly.
And then for like the Canon one, we're like,
We loved the camera. The camera was great.
Camera was good.
It was
good
just
the recording limit.
So then we obviously went for the Sony, and obviously we love it. I think the only issue was the battery life, but we figured that out pretty easily. Just get a adapter. So, but that was challenge number 1. We figured our camera situation out. Challenge number 2, the audio. You said it was smooth, but the problem was headphone users.
Yeah, so it was funny.
My buddy messages me.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm right ear, you're left ear.
And then instantly I go and put in my headphones, and I was like, yo, this ain't right.
Yeah.
And then obviously
You figured it out.
I figured out, YouTube again.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's just something to like adjust while while you're editing, just like just to fill up like both channels.
This is
like
Mother's Day, by the way. So
Yeah.
here we are I'm cutting the grass. You're figuring that out, and I'm running around trying to get like food and like,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And
for
then
Mother's Day night.
Yeah, it was just a headache. I remember that whole recording. Yeah,
Okay.
we fell asleep like at
4 a.m.
I fell asleep like at 4:30. You fell asleep like at
4.
You went to bed like at 4. And
And I
I
was
had
working on the thumbnail, right? So.
yeah. Then I had like we didn't even work on
Oh
thumbnail.
no, there's no thumbnail.
We didn't even know what to do with thumbnail. We're like, oh shit, we need to do a thumbnail.
Yeah, no. The funny thing with that was though, it was because you used that because the time took us the camera.
Yeah.
You were using headphones that worked, and it wouldn't work, and you were stressed like, how do I figure this out, right?
Yeah, because like,
And then I give you my headphones,
and then
it worked.
It was working the whole time.
Yeah.
It was annoying. And then like, well, I had work. I slept like an hour and a half. I wake up. I've never felt like that in my life. Like head spinning,
Same.
Just so sluggish and everything.
You call in sick.
I instantly call in sick. I'm like,
I'm going back to sleep.
I'm going back to sleep, waking up, finishing the editing, and upload the video because we were stressing because we were in the intro video.
We promised to.
We're like,
have it
yo,
out.
our first video is out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it took forever, but we
It
finally
came out at
uploaded.
7:30.
Like 7:30, and then usually when we upload now on Mondays is like around like 1ish.
1.
Yeah.
Thursdays now will be like 2, but Yeah. So that was challenge number one. Challenge number two, it wasn't even. So we figured it out. Eventually, we figured everything out. The thumbnail, we know how to do it now. Can it be better? 100%. We're not saying it's perfect or anything, but at least we know how to do
Like
it
at
now.
least we built up something
Editing and
like a
thumbnail.
routine now, right?
Yeah,
Like there's
exactly.
no stress. And
And
then
then, but the funniest moment with one of our challenges were the S&Q mode, which we addressed in one of our pods.
oh yeah,
We recorded a whole pod. Thankfully, it wasn't super long. It was like an hour 10 one, I believe.
yeah, it was like hour 10.
And you get the clip and you put it in your laptop, and it was like 3 hours, and you're like, what the hell? And why are we moving so slow? I Googled S&Q mode. It was a time lapse
time
mode.
lapse mode.
So we obviously had
Yeah,
to.
so at this time, like I would say what?
It was midnight, 1 o'clock. We started
Yeah,
recording again.
but like I would say this is like end of May, right? Like around like mid June maybe.
Yeah, I think end of May, early June.
Early June, right? So like I'm just like, because for me, I'm like, all right, I have school and work the next day, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, let's just get this done over, go to sleep, right? And then I look at it and I'm like, why is there 2 files? Why is it like 3 hours long?
Yeah.
And then once you said time lapse mode, I'm like, oh shit, yo, one of us, because when it falls asleep, right, the
You
camera
have to
before
click
we
a button,
record, you
and
have
I
to click a
think
button.
I may have clicked.
I mean, I don't know if I clicked it too.
Yeah.
I think I did it, but it changed to S&Q mode. We're like, oh my god, and we felt like that was like one of our
Best
better,
ones. That was
like
like our
better
best
pod
ones.
recordings. Even after it was so fine when
It was funny. It's like that's where the Jamal Murray rant came out of, I believe. Right? If was it
No,
that
no,
one?
no.
Oh,
That was the one before. That was the one before.
Oh,
The Jamal
okay.
one came after. Yeah. So it was like we're like shit. So we quickly record, then edit,
Yeah.
and then go to sleep.
That
Slept
was
like what
funny.
2-3 hours again, and then straight had a
Yeah.
headache the next morning.
Yeah, let's move on because we still have a couple things we're talking about. We don't want to make this long-winded either, but um throughout, yeah, so the challenges, we're still gonna face it because it's at the end of the day, it's a waiting game.
Like we figured out like the initial step of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, the quality of the videos could be better.
Yeah.
Like especially in podcasts, that whether it be, it could be, it's obviously gonna be with both, recording wise, like how are we performing on the mic,
Yeah.
and then talking to each other and being, if we're being entertaining or like serious, like just
Yeah.
our conversation and see how it is and how to make it entertaining for you guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, we still gotta figure it out, and also after editing, right? Because right now we just have like one camera angle.
Yeah, we're gonna obviously work on that.
And then
slowly.
obviously
But
we
yeah,
got editing.
Stay tuned. Stay
yeah.
tuned. We'll be making some
Me,
changes.
I gotta learn how to edit more and like better
Yeah.
and to make it like a little bit more,
Yeah. So let's
conversation based, like cutting to each camera and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Okay, let's move on to what surprised us a little bit. And off the bat, the support was immense.
Yes.
We loved the support. We thought we were gonna get, like, we knew that once we put it out there, we'll probably get like the mutual followers we have on Instagram plus your friends from high school, whatever, that you might stay in touch with, or not in touch, but like that might, you still fuck with.
Yeah.
Same with me, that will probably subscribe, follow, whatever, right? Which it was. But the fact that we hit, in the first 2 days we hit like 60, I think it was. Like close, it
No, it
was
was like-
50 to 60.
Yeah, we were close. Like in our first 3 years, I think we are closing on 50.
Yeah,
Right,
and
and
I'm
then-
like, okay, this is more than I thought, right? And it
Yeah.
kept growing for that week. Obviously, it hit a standstill because we're at 117 now, which is now we need to appease the non-family members.
Now it's like we got
And our family group chat went off too, because we didn't tell anyone fully either. Like,
Not
we're the
everyone.
type of guys to like, we want to make it happen and then tell.
yeah,
right?
that was our whole game
So
plan.
whenever one of our cousins put it in the group chat, and then all of our other cousins, and mama, taya, tai, mommy, whatever, everybody, cousins in the group chat,
like all the relatives,
Yeah.
right? Like everyone's in that group chat. Almost
everybody in that
everyone,
group
yeah.
chat was like, yeah, keep going, you guys, we're proud of you guys, we can't wait, stuff like that. Now all of them don't watch sports, so we don't obviously anticipate everybody to watch our stuff, because sports is that niche, it's very niche. Like,
Yeah.
you
like
we
it or you
watch,
don't.
we listen to it, yeah, you like it or you don't, right? And so yeah, the support was insane. 100 subs within a month, which was our goal.
Yeah, I think
we
it was
hit
just
it.
little over a month. We got 100
Yeah,
subs.
so which was pretty good. And yeah, so from there, that was definitely something that surprised me the most. What's something that wasn't gonna surprise us? Okay, so let's actually move on here before we get into like other, like, to close it off, because we have a couple things. Inspirations. So ultimately, we mentioned a few names. Shows that we love watching or listening to were Halford and Bruff. Pat McAfee show was a big
Yeah,
one.
Pat McAfee was
That's
absolutely
like
goated.
I think the best show out there right now, right? They ask is a little bit football based, but they talk variety as well.
Yeah, they have variety.
The dude's entertaining as hell. You guys should check it out in general. And Through the Wire. So this is where, going back to why we started. the reason why I also took a while is like, okay, well, I'm named 3 things. Either A, you have a degree in media, which is what Halford and Bruffer kind of are doing, and B, or you're established. Through the Wire is established, right? Pat McAfee shows a former athlete, Pat McAfee himself, and he established a team and went on it, and that's why they were successful. So we didn't really see the low key ones until hours before midnight, and that's the ultimate inspiration. And I cannot thank them enough because it opened my eyes. Usually, you say you look up to people that are older than you. I'm looking up to someone that's younger than me, and it's well deserved because they're. If you guys haven't checked them out, one of the best podcasts, local especially, right? They're from BC, Punjabi boys, Sardars as
Yeah,
well. And it opened my eyes as well. I'm like, yep. I feel like if these guys could do it and they look like us, and yes, they're successful. They are in the thousands, I think at 1.8
They're
subs.
they're
So they
already
are
up there, yeah.
established, but they started not too long ago as well, right? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm like, we could do this. Like, and our contents are slightly different. Like, we're obviously we might have similar paths, but we're a sports based thing, right?
Yeah, we're sports.
And we're like, that's the ultimate inspiration for me that got going. And I'm like, and then that opened up a little bit more other podcasts that I'm watching. I think Shed Talk podcast. They're out of Delta. One of the best pods I've seen. It's entertaining.
They're
as hell.
hilarious, right?
They're hilarious.
And
They're
then
short.
there's other like creators like
Parm vs. the World.
Parmers of World
And your boy Diamond Dollywall.
My role model, right? My inspiration, Diamond Dollywall. Diamond Dollywall was like one of the ones I started watching a little bit before.
Because of FIFA, and you were
Right, and it was just FIFA, right? And then I'm like, yo, this thing is doing FIFA
and then
videos.
you found out he's from here.
And then he's like, I thought he was like Toronto or something,
Yeah.
right? But then he was like,
He's from
this
here.
area, yeah. And then he was on the
The
Hours
HBM,
HBM
yeah.
podcast, and like, all right, we're like, yo, there's actually
People here. Like,
There's people here doing it,
It was
right?
ultimately the HBM podcast where I'm like, there's a lot of local stars, whether it
Yeah.
be TikTok creators, YouTubers like Parm vs. the World, who's killing the game right now.
yeah,
Right, and there's other people, Nata,
and
as well,
songwriting, yeah.
and songwriting and stuff like that. Right, growing up, the only Punjabi people we knew were Just Rain, aka Amazing, Superwoman, right?
Yeah.
And then Arnie and Subi came, and they kind of stopped, and now it's like,
But, like,
the next wave.
We never knew anyone from here who was doing it realistically, right?
Exactly, until these guys.
Until like, okay, this wave, and these guys started
A couple months ago,
like they started before us,
like a
for
year
sure.
ago for sure.
Yeah, like,
And yeah, ultimately that's why we started, and those are the inspirations. I would say, you could say role models in a way, but now the other reason why we also started this was to us to be slightly role models. And I'm not saying like, oh yeah, we are aspiring, like we want your kid to do this. No, or kid or brother or whatever, you guys. The reason why we're saying is like, if people out there that are wanting to start a podcast or any type of content creation,
Or
not
just-
even just that, but
like trying to
if
do
you want to be an athlete, obviously there's a certain age limit, because I would say I'm 26 and I'm doing this now, but obviously I can't be an athlete now. I only really realistically think I could do is boxing, like solo sports, maybe, right? You can't really do it in team sports, but role models in the sense, like even if you want to do a classic 9 to 5 or doctor stuff, anything like that, if you put your mind into it, dedicate yourself, then do it, right? And that's one of the reasons why we started.
yeah, it's just like, to inspire people, especially our Punjabi community and here as well, but like everyone in general who watches the pods.
We
as
have
well.
a guy in our family that's a gamer.
Yeah, and,
And,
it's just
yeah.
like, bro, it's like in that thing, like it's easier to start now than it was way before, whatever it
Yeah.
is, right? So whatever you want to do, you just gotta do it, because if you're not, it's either one, you're like in a circumstance where you can't do it, or two, you're just putting yourself in a shittier situation
Yeah.
in the future.
So that's why we're like, okay, you know what? That's like, for example, exactly what HBM are doing, Diamond Dollywall is doing, Parm vs. the World is doing, right? They're putting themselves out there, and now that's how BTR started, essentially, right? And now we're hoping maybe that relative's like, you know what? Yeah, let's follow this footstep. Now, obviously, we get parents coming at us like, why the hell are you telling my kid to do this? I'm like, hey, no, listen, if that's their dream, that's what they want to pursue, then do it. That's where we come in as a role model. We're not saying like we're this elite role model that they should follow exactly what we're doing. We're just saying we're being role models, and whatever you want to do, follow that path. That's as simple as the way I could put it. And the last reason is being sports related and growing up playing soccer at a higher level than me. I coached your team, which is we'll do a whole podcast on after, but we see the talent in Surrey, right? We have a cousin. We've mentioned him on the sports pods a lot, Jeevan Badwal, and out like we know the talent people have, and he's obviously on the Canada U17 team, should be at least for the World Cup, and we want to give people a platform to talk as well. The local athletes, the local coaches, and that's where maybe they're more comfortable talking in a sports setting. We want to give them a platform and bring them on as a guest type of thing and put their name out there, right?
Yeah, like help them put themselves out there.
Help them put themselves out there because maybe they won't be seen, and maybe they'll be sitting across from us telling their story and why they're doing this and why are they an athlete. That's another reason why we wanted to do this as well.
Yeah.
There's another option for you guys to showcase yourself.
Like another way, yeah, just to
Exactly.
get yourselves out there, get yourselves to, I don't know, potentially whatever opportunity you could get yourself into.
Yeah.
Obviously, before that happens, we're trying to get ourselves a little bit, like,
For
in
sure.
a range.
There's a reason why we're not bringing on guests and stuff right away is because we want to make sure our name, because we don't want people thinking we're clout chasing essentially. But in my head, it's like eventually, like now that we've hit 100, we have almost 100 videos out there, that collaboration is probably the best way to put everybody else on top. And that's what we'll be seeing guests on this channel, which we'll get into the future of the channel in a second. But let's move on quickly. One thing that did not surprise us was hate comments.
Yeah,
Here's the thing, right? We think
there were
that
minimum, but like,
yeah, no, what I'm saying is like, we were surprised with the support. We were when it came to hate comments, we're like we're anticipating at this point because we've heard every YouTuber, every content creator in general, Twitch streamer or streamer in general say that, like, how do you control the whole hate comment? We're in the world of sports. I'm on sports Twitter, and you see the shit that goes on there, right? Whether you're an athlete or a fellow creator in general. And obviously, in being sports, I'm going to share one that I got today, literally today, right before we started recording. People won't respect people's opinions at the end of the day. Like,
it's not
our
how it
show is literally
yeah.
an opinionated show based on news that happen.
Yeah, like what we think or what you think is not, I might not agree with.
Me
what
and
I
you
think,
argue here all the time.
yeah, we
Right?
argue here all the time. It's not gonna agree with everyone else, right?
Yeah.
So it's just that environment. So we're like, okay, there's gonna be few. We're like, okay, what the hell you guys are saying type
Exactly.
thing, right?
So, like hate comments, let's just share the two funny ones that we saw. We got one racist hate comment, I guess you could say.
This one I won't say is hate comment. It's
It's
like,
more racist.
no, the one we got today.
Oh, not today. Today was like a hate comment, for sure.
Yeah, I
But
guess.
not a hate. Okay, well, definition of
not-
hate comment is like they're not personally attacking us, but they're attacking our view, I guess. Like our
Yeah.
thought on it. But no, the racist comment was, it got taken down by Instagram. We were going to leave it up as a joke. But it was,
Or
I
start
don't
a
know which video it
comment
was.
war.
It was on our Instagram reel.
Shout out to our cousins because they always have our back on this. They're
Exactly.
they're like, yo, we're gonna go attack them in the comments. So let us know if you get any of
But
these
yeah,
comments.
so the comment was, it was a hockey one. So you regheads don't know shit about hockey. And obviously regheads meaning we wear pug, like I'm wearing a parna, you're wearing a patka.
I'm trying to learn how to type parna already.
Okay, but
so,
no, I'm just saying in
yeah.
general, like that's why they're calling it a reg. And I look at it and I'm like, I just started laughing. I'm like, whatever. Like this guy gave us attention. That's what I view it as.
I'm like, yo, you benefit us. You commented.
Exactly.
You
And
saw
then
our video.
The second one was today's was, I think it was on our Damian Lillard video. Go check that out. That we clipped. The dude's like, so I was wearing the Lakers shirt. I'm gonna just paraphrase. The guy in the Lakers shirt thinks he knows so much in Miami basketball. Probably watched a couple of games and just thinks he knows everything. And I just started laughing. I'm like, you expect those ones that you expect.
This is what was
Nothing
gonna
was
happen.
personally
Yeah,
attacked.
this
That
was
was
gonna
the thing.
happen, right?
So
Like,
we anticipated it. But
it's
those
sports.
are the hate comments we had. I think
Yeah,
there's one where someone said some shit and her cousin just went off on him. Was just like, oh no, he's like, you guys don't know your shit. Like your rankings are shit. And
it was a blind ranking.
we're just laughing because blind rankings mean whatever pops up, you just gotta hope you're lucky and rank it accordingly.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going next. right?
Exactly. So yeah, those were the hate comments. We embrace them at this point. Like as long as there's nothing personal, we respect people's opinion. We just hope you respect ours. That's all we're gonna say about that. All right, goals. What do you expect from this channel? Our goal number one, get monetized. Simple as that. So
Yeah, get monetized.
to help us, please subscribe and watch our videos. That's how we will get monetized. And we need 1,000 subs. That's our goal for the end of the year. So help us with that. But our ultimate goal in general is when you watch these YouTubers, MMG, the Two Hype guys, Through the Wire, they get to go to places, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
get invited. That's the long-term goal. NBA draft, NFL draft, summer league. But before even that, we want to travel more as well. We could spend our own thing. Let's go watch a Jays game, for example. Head over to
Yeah,
Toronto.
yeah.
Go watch Colts games, but attend the summer league and reach out to other creators like Through the Wire.
Yeah, it
And
just like it just find things to help us grow. Like go
Exactly.
to events, reach out to other people that are already in the game, and then another goal for us is just make videos, right? Just
Yeah.
enjoy it. Like because
Well, the goal is, we're in our living room right now. Try to let's upgrade our house, get a studio set up somewhere, whether it be at this house or a future house, and also get an editor. Which is, I'm gonna quickly let me just double check something. Um, we did get a message. Shout out to the guy. I'm not gonna say his name yet, but he wants to be our editor essentially
yeah.
for shorts. So obviously, eventually, when we kind of know more knowledge, we might reach out to this person or other people in general. So that's our ultimate goal: get like a little team going, so we could focus more on the content side of
Yeah.
things rather than wasting our energy.
But like yeah, that's like our big goals, and obviously it's just growing, right? Just showing improvement, like obviously small steps at a time. We're trying to get better on camera.
Yeah,
We're trying to get better ourselves,
like those are
editing
short-term goals
and
to get going.
recording, right? We're trying to, and we're I think is we're just trying to make videos, like because we want to make the videos,
Exactly.
right? Like we're not trying to make videos to get like views, subs, and stuff like that. But like obviously
That's the bonus.
we would appreciate it.
That's
But
the
that's a
bonus,
bonus. That's like that just gives us feedback like if we're doing well or
Exactly.
not, right? So like that's the main goal for us. It's just to because that's the only thing we can control, right?
Yeah.
And then like uh basically that like I've seen a Punjabi movie where it's like the scene where basically if I'm just gonna quickly sum it up in English, saying that like if you're a farmer, right, all you gotta do is just plant the seed,
Yeah.
right? If it rains, suns, that's up to God. That's
Yeah.
up to whatever
Faith
universe,
in
whatever
general,
you
yeah.
believe in, right? And I'm like, that just hit me because like our seed is upload videos,
Yeah.
right?
Shorts
And then
all that.
whatever else, and like do our research and obviously that stuff,
Yeah.
and then whatever happens, right?
So
And then we're like enjoying the process right now, so
yeah.
that's why
I mean,
we haven't
at
stopped.
least I'm enjoying this struggle. Like, imagine if I passed CPA Core 1. I know that was what you're trying to get
Yeah,
into.
right. That would
Imagine if I passed it the first time.
Yeah,
We probably not been sitting here. So I'm leaving it up to God. That's what I believe in, and the faith in general. That's where we are sitting here. Like, if I passed Core 1, I would be struggling in Core 2 and future courses, right? So let's move on very quick. No, quick question before we move on. If you were to pick one at this moment, get an editor or get a studio? Just very quickly. I know we've talked about this before off the camera.
I'll probably say studio, just because I feel like that'll be a little bit more,
Organized.
huh? It'll help us get a little bit more, but I feel like that'll be a little bit more difficult to get, in my opinion.
I'm still going with editor just because we don't have to stress about that and we can start planning other stuff properly. That's all. That's the reason why. I feel like this is still feasible for now,
Yeah,
but
but the thing is this, like, we're already broke.
so no, like the guy that wanted to work with us, he's trying to build his name, right?
Yeah.
And which is something we'll talk off
Like,
camera,
we can
but
get
yeah.
build
But
together.
okay,
Right?
future of the channel before we close it out. So, like we said, we started. Stuff has changed. At the first, couple of weeks, you just saw simple Monday, Thursday episodes. That's it, right?
Yeah, most
Slowly,
of the time. Yeah.
we put in shorts, TikToks, and reels. You see those every day on our channels. We alternate on each platform. So if you guys are an Instagram viewer, you'll probably catch one on Instagram before someone on YouTube Short, but those might alternate. So you'll see every day a short, a TikTok, or a reel on any platform.
Yeah, like
you
that's our
see.
goal. Like that's what we're trying to do.
And then we also started clipping some episodes, but we still encourage you to watch the full episode because we're not going to clip everything. So those are, as we're progressing, that's what we're doing. We also started doing random other content, which, for example, tier lists. We already dropped 3 tier list video, and for you guys' support, we'll tell you right now, we'll be dropping an MLB one soon as well. So that's the future of the channel. The reason why we didn't name it BTR Podcast is because we want to create other content, and we have ideas. We just need obviously time to grow ourselves for those ideas to
Yeah,
come
it just
through.
like because podcasts are long recordings, right?
Yeah.
And
Not everybody watches sports.
not everybody watches sports. Not everybody watches podcasts. Because not everybody likes those like
Yeah.
hour-long videos, right?
Exactly.
And then I'm one of them too. Like I fall asleep in lectures, like 2
Yeah.
hours long.
Yeah.
So it's just the mixing, and then obviously the short form content is like 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, we also try to find clips, funny moments
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the spot. Like for example, we have some from this one
Yeah,
earlier on.
but the thing is, we're just trying to find like we're trying to get our creative side going, because like
Yeah.
podcasts are simple. We're like, okay, whatever happens in sports, we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
But like these tier list videos and like other videos that we're trying
Reaction
to plan,
videos we're gonna do, but we have genuine. We're not gonna
like
share too much.
yeah,
but
we're not gonna share our ideas yet, but like there's ideas that we're trying to like
yeah,
build
but
up,
we
like
need to
those.
build ourselves in the creative space.
Yeah,
For example, maybe we reach out to the people we mentioned earlier, like the HVM boys and all that, and have an idea out there. Speaking of a channel, those are the stuff we're doing, and we'll continue doing. We will be bringing on guests. So, like I mentioned to you at the beginning of the pod, we have our first guest planned. We just need to film, and we'll get him out there, get him or her out there.
Yeah.
And
It was
there
just-
will be more guests. Sometimes we will be dropping pods like this, but today was just a journey, what we learned, what we want to share with you guys. I want to do something, but we will drop, one-on-one content that is not sports, but sports related in a way, like our journey in sports ourselves.
yeah, it was just like just to find a way to mix up things, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Longer videos,
We
shorter
love
videos.
talking. We love sharing people's stories as
Yeah.
well. As much as we love sports, we also love hearing people's stories.
Yeah.
And those guests will start off with, like I said, local athletes or coaches or that have been, but we also will do, creative people around the space.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And
it
we
just-
all. Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off on
Yeah.
there. And the other thing is, we all will also bring a radio show vibe, kind of, and try to find analysts, like more pros that are into the sport on the inside of things, looking things.
Because they're focused on like one thing.
They're focused on one thing. We would love to bring them on as guests. If you guys want people, if you guys want people that are watching, if you guys have any guests that you guys would love us to consider, same thing with analysts. Drop the names down below.
Yeah, and it was just like we're just trying to like share like what our plans were. Our plans were like always to like just mix up stuff, make longer videos, shorter videos, different styles of videos, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Last thing before we close it out, we know this has probably gone an hour-ish or longer. Just our piece of advice we want to share. If we two idiots could do this, I'm sure you guys could do it as well.
bro, like if you are looking to do this, like this content creating and stuff, we did not know how to record.
Yeah.
All right, we did not know how to record, and we come this far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it may not be far when you look at the numbers and stuff, but trust me, yeah, it may work, it may not work, right? But one thing we do know is that we learned some skills that we wouldn't have learned if we did not start this.
Just control what you could control, and don't give up. Right at the end of the day, the people that you see that are successful, they haven't given up. The people that you don't see, they definitely have given up. That wanted to do
And
this.
it's not even like about, like, yes, of course, it's about making it. Obviously, that is a goal.
Yeah.
But it's also about like people might underrate like the learning experience, right?
Like for us, it's like we're not trying to be the next Stephen A. Smith. It's more so, can we be the next Halford and Bruff local wise? Like our goal is to make this a career path and still do YouTube on the side, but without selling ourselves out at the same time.
Yeah,
right. So
And then like it's like the journey, right? Like we have the end goal. Like that's what, like some people like, all right, we're here now and we have our end goal.
yeah,
But nobody focuses in the middle, right? In the
Exactly.
you're gonna fail. You're gonna make mistakes and all that stuff. That doesn't mean you stop. That just means like, all right, you learn from it, right? Because if you fuck up, that just means you're early in the process.
exactly. Like we've messed up. We already mentioned the SNQ mode and everything. So for those of you, just in general advice for the content creation advice, yeah, like I said, if we two idiots could do it, I'm sure you guys could figure out a way to do it. Don't do stuff behind your parents' back. Just make sure they're aware, especially, if you guys parents or any parent-like figures that you have. And just in general, if anything you want to anything you guys want to do, whether it be anything on the educational side of things, athlete, content creation, whatever, it's never too late. Athlete wise, okay, that's questionable, but it's never really too late. Just make sure you guys are fully dedicated and putting the time to do it. Then yes, don't half-ass everything.
Yeah,
That's
you
all.
can't, like, if you are picking the path where like you want to do something, you can't half-ass it, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're doing something you want to do, I'm pretty sure you're gonna put your full effort.
Just
into
determine it. Do it as a hobby first. See if you enjoy it, then make it longer. That's all.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap it up there. We appreciate you guys, like I said, for the support for the first 2 months. This is just the beginning for us. We definitely will be coming more with more content, different types of content, and like, comment, and subscribe. Comment, any guests or anyone that you would love to see that we would love to bring on, and make sure you guys subscribe as well. I know I mentioned that already because we do drop our podcast every Monday and Thursday. Other than that, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.